Hello and welcome back to Gratuitous Space Battles 2. My name's Negative Eternal. Let's get cracking. Today we're going to play the fourth battle. I've got a pretty good solution for this one, I'm thinking, and it might even be a little bit better than this. I don't know, but I'm going to run with this one, 32%. I'll run through my plan. It actually bears a remarkable resemblance to this is the deployment I used for my for the third mission. So this was very anti-missile heavy, anti-fighter heavy, and yeah. So I changed a few things around. I came up with the Mark 6 Venom, so we'll go into it and have a look. Now, what did I do? I added in some point defense. That was it. Just to try and, I don't know, increase the accuracy of the point defense, make them a little bit more potent when it came to defending the fleet. And you'll notice that I've got fewer of them. Instead of 4 per ship, I've got 2 per ship. And this deployment worked. Well, it worked once. And by adding more destroyers, it just makes it a surer thing. Now, I've come up with this support destroyer. Similar kind of idea. And you can see here what we're doing. So, we've got 2 of these, two of these shield support beams. And what that's aiming to do is keep the shields up. Very, very important in this deployment, to keep the shields up. And then I've got some shields myself and some armor. The armor probably, it's debatable whether that's actually useful or not on this craft, but I'm running with it, whatever, moving right along. And yeah, these are just there's something to back up the hammers and the long-range shipwrecker. Now the hammer, let's have a quick look. I changed the weapons mix around because it really wasn't working that well. So I changed it around to try and get it to be a little bit more effective, and you'll notice that the weapons mix that I've got now, extremely effective. And that was really the secret to passing this mission. You'll notice that I've got the multiple warhead missile launchers and then 2 heavy plasma units. Now here's the thinking, right? The multiple warheads, they do a lot of damage because I believe it's 4 times 31. So if all 4 of them hit, you know, that'll be 124 damage. Obviously there's some loss in their damage for armor and hull. Shield is quite strong, so that's why I've got the heavy plasma unit to get through the armor. And whilst this cops a penalty for hull damage, by that stage you'll notice that it doesn't really matter. Now we got yeah, shields, very, very straightforward basis to it. I haven't really changed much there. I hate it when it does that. Oh dear. Okay. Life forgets that you have a ship, or that you've made a ship sometimes. There we go, and it's back. So that was the Hammer Mark 3, and now this is the Long Range Shipwrecker Mark 3. Let's have a look at it quickly. Again, I've kept the same kind of idea. In fact, if I wanted to make this a little bit better, right? Well, I'm not sure that I could actually. Well, actually, let's just drop those 2, because that'll get us a little bit more honor. Now I've got again, this is long range attack, and then these little bad boys in here, the proton beams. They're proton beams. That's aimed at trying to smack anything that gets too close. You'll notice that the max range is fairly long. So for the missiles it's 1200. These are 820. So you'll notice that there's a lot of ships that come diving in. Oops. I'll save that. Mark III. So we need some way of dealing with them if they get too close. Now what I'll do is just move this up and move this entire thing back. Move this up, back, save as deployment 4, and we'll get into the battle. Because that's what you came to see, how to beat this battle with not many ships. And you'll notice that the total hit points is quite one-sided. See, 15,000, 37,000 on the other side. But yeah, let's get into it. Let's talk about it. So we'll just speed it up quickly because there's going to be a whole bunch of fighters come racing in. Now the destroyers are again tasked to anti-fighter operations, so trying to take them out and give us time. You'll notice that we've still got the shield resistance against the fighters. The fighters don't have enough penetration to get through our major ship shields, our capital ship shields, or even our destroyer shields. So the destroyers will just steadily whittle them down. You see that there's tons and tons of fighters coming in. Now, these frigates. Keep your eye on these frigates, because they're about to get a lot of attention. Boom, there's a big hit. And you can see what I mean by an effective weapons mix. Suddenly we can slag an entire frigate in no time at all. Now the frigate is the equivalent to a destroyer, and right now we're taking these out quicker than they can actually get into range. And that is about as perfect as it gets. You see that all my ships, we're still at 100%. There's no one even lost a shield yet, or even had been worried. And even if the shields on any of our ships start to go down, that shield support beam will come online and keep them in the fight. As long as we keep the shields up, we'll be fine and dandy. And this actually gives me an idea for the last mission where I said the same thing. If we keep the shields up, we'll be all good. Perhaps we could swap a hammer for a support destroyer and see if we can, you know, get a better force mix there and get that total honor number down. But I think I might leave it, because at the end of the day I'm learning this game by playing it, and it's I find it a lot of fun. As you notice now, I'm not actually controlling anything. I can just sit here, I can talk, and also spent probably 2 hours. So there you go, there's a shield support beam. Trying to keep this thing's shields up. You notice that because there's 2 in range, they'll do their best to keep them up. And so long as we keep them up whilst still being on offense, that is the important thing. So we've lost the shields and armor on a destroyer, which isn't really that important. That cruiser's copped a hell of a lot of attention. So is this dreadnought. You'll notice it will take this dreadnought out just really, really fast, like scary fast. How quickly we take that down. And you can see that these destroyers are pretty well hidden. So there goes the cruiser of theirs. Now, the reason I had to switch up my force mix and I couldn't just go 100% multi-warhead munitions is because its armor is very, very thick. Did you see how it's coming up with armor too thick? That's the multi-head munitions. So we needed something extra to allow us to get through the armor so that then we can get to the hull. So we've lost 1 destroyer so far, but we're sitting pretty right now. The shield support beams are very, very much effective in this battle because it allows us to use a smaller amount of ships and really punch above our weight. You can see now we're going to be working one by one on these frigates coming in. These cruisers are going to get dealt with, And as soon as this dreadnought goes down, like dreadnoughts have a ton of health, as soon as that dreadnought goes down, that cruiser there is actually going to transition up onto these cruisers and add its weight of fire to taking them down. Now, as you can see, this would be really scary, and if you do lose your shields, you're gone. Basically, there are too many of them to fight off. And I tried a couple of different variations. I tried going with a beam frigate, but I still believe that hitting them heavily with missiles while they're still outside of range is really the way to go. You see that there's a whole bunch of frigates in here that are all going to be very dead very quickly. And then this is really the last thing that we need to deal with. There's a couple of destroyers running around, but then they're not a threat at all. They don't have enough strength really to take us on. And you see that as soon as we start focusing on it, it's like, yeah, things go downhill quickly for them, very, very quick. This dreadnought will be the interesting thing. You notice now that they're focusing on fighters and a lot of little stuff until they realise that here comes this big, dirty, great big dreadnought. And I might actually just run through my orders for the fleet. This is something unfortunate that seems to happen, is this dreadnought turns away. I don't know why it would, because I've set dreadnoughts to 100%, and you can see now, if I move up this way, or if I move down, nope. Anyway, alpha game is alpha. You notice now that the destination's back up here, so it'll spin back around, but in the meantime it hasn't been able to shoot at it, which is a bit of an issue, and I wish there was a way of controlling that a bit better. I've got dreadnoughts set as 100% focus, with everything else less than that. Notice this is pretty tough as well, and it requires a bit of help. But as soon as we get through that armor, it all goes downhill very, very quickly for this dreadnought. We're still sitting at 98% for our force mix. There it is, and that's victory. So you can see that we got a little bit of extra honor this time round. If we jump back into I'll just show you what I had in terms of orders. So these support destroyers, I set them to cautious and also escort, so they'll stick close to their mothership. This is the long range shipwrecker, so it's got orders to go for a dreadnought, a cruiser, a frigate and a destroyer in that order. Same thing with the hammer. Dreadnought, cruiser, frigate, destroyer. And the Venoms are the same as always, fighters and gunships on short support. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is my best score for mission number 4. I'd love to see you try and beat it. If you do, be sure to send it through. Screenshots, videos, GIFs, all that kind of fun stuff. Until next time, see you later.